Greetings, everyone. We're Trace Scorch, and we love y'all. This is a continuation from the previous message we shared about base 12. If you haven't seen it, you should. But here's a review. Our number system is base 10, 1 to 10, when you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. But naturally, it should be a base 12 number system. Now, what we forgot to mention in the previous post is the formula for base 12. Now, you're already familiar with 369, but if you're not, you should look it up. Now, what we're introducing is 36912. Now, the formula is when you add up the numbers 12, you get to 3, and it recycles all over again. Like we said, 9 is the frequency of the number for energy, frequency, vibration. 12 is rejuvenation. 1 plus 2, 3. Energy, frequency, vibration, rejuvenation, 1 plus 2, 3. So 36912, 1 plus 2, 3. 36912, 1 plus 2, 3. And so on. That's how the energy system is created. Now, the idea behind the 369 is any number you multiply with this number, you add up with either 369. For instance, say 3 times 6, that's 18. 1 plus 8, that's 9. You can do it again with 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 9, 18. 1 plus 8, 9. So all the numbers, when you add it with the 369, you get back to a variation of 369. Either of those numbers. So this is where Tesla spoke about the power of 369. But what we're introducing is 12. So once the energy goes from 369, 12, 1 plus 2, 3, is a cycle that continues. Like we mentioned earlier on, if you relate this to energy propulsion system, it will be that once your car is in motion, it's generating energy by dispelling energy. Nothing is going to waste. And it's funny, isn't it, how currently you have people who are blaming CO2 emission as the cause for global warming. Now imagine if it's possible to transfer that CO2, that gas emission, back to gasoline. Now, if we're trying to solve climate change, as they say, would that solution be feasible for an energy corporation where there wouldn't be need for people buying endless amount of gasoline to power their vehicle? If you have an energy system where the vehicle powers itself, now where does that leave the energy corporation in making money? So something isn't adding up. And what we see is that when corporations and people in certain sectors mention things like climate change, it seems like citizens get a different understanding. What they're saying in their own coded language is things are not the same as it used to be. So the climate has changed. But they akin that to like some kind of disturbance in the society, perhaps in the weather, or say because of the CO2 emission, the iceberg is melting, now there will be earthquake. But that's not the reason. That's not what they're saying it from, but that's what people are translating it from. Because if you think that the problem of the planet is carbon, well, newsflash, carbon is one of the most abundant elements on the planet. So you can't say the problem of the planet is the planet itself when we are actually not using a very optimal energy system that will actually replenish the energy that's being wasted. So this is why we're introducing the 36912 idea, where by the time we start incorporating base 12 into all our number system, our finance, our society, then we can see real change. But using the same base 10 method, it keeps us wasting energy. Like you say, you have a vehicle, you buy the petrol, you put it in the car is in motion, the kinetic energy. Now there's the output of energy through the exhaust pipe, that's potential energy. If you can convert that back to gasoline, now that's 36912. That's a base 12 system. And using this you can use that to actually connect to our human genome. Like we mentioned earlier on, we have 24 pairs of chromosome, but scientists can only find 23 pairs of chromosome because the 24th pair is multidimensional. And that's why we chose to share this message today, being the 24th, and the year is 12. And if you add that together, that's 3 and 6. So there's always a variation of these ideas in every aspect of our life if you look closely. If you understand numerology, you understand that numbers have a meaning towards them. Number 1 being the meaning for creation. Number 2 is duality. 3 is a catalyst. 4 is the nth number. 5 is the frequency for change. 6, 7, not so sure, I can't say now, but 8 is infinity, and 9 is the number frequency for completion. Now, there's 10, 11, 12, and these are more high master numbers, and we'll get into that as we go on. But understanding the ideas behind these numbers, you start looking at things differently. Earlier on today, I had a profound insight, and I was thinking to myself while I was having these thoughts that this is interesting. And by the time I looked at the time, it was exactly 8:55. Now, isn't that interesting? So if we add up the numbers together, 5 plus 5, 10, 1 plus 8, 9. Isn't that interesting? But you wouldn't understand this unless you are actually connected into that 24th pair of chromosomes, like we mentioned earlier on. And these are certain things that we are gradually, gently bringing into the awareness of people. A lot of people perhaps will hear this and still not really understand it, and there are those who will understand it. The person who thought about the 369 idea is Tesla, as many of you are aware. Now, from his own experience, we're going to switch into the resonance frequency. He had a profound experience sometime in the 1800 where he was working with a device that said you could fit that in your pocket. And while he was tuning the frequency of that device, the building it was in started vibrating. He tuned it a little bit, it started vibrating some more, and the heavy metal started shaking. And he said he destroyed that device. Now, what is that? What that has to do with what we're all mentioning here? We're still speaking about energy, frequency, vibration. If you understand the power of vibration, you understand how the universe operates. And isn't it interesting how the things that hold us together are actually quite subtle and fragile? The things that put all our universe together and our whole world reality. A little cone of snow can be rolling down, and it will be gathering more momentum and become a very big ice cone and can cause an avalanche. So there are how little things evolve into bigger things, and these are subtle ideas that we often don't look to find when we see the big grandiose effect of something that happened. Perhaps it started very little, but when you understand the power or the energies of numbers, you can see how things start evolving and start mesticizing. 3, 6, 9, 12, 1 plus 2, 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 1 plus 2, 3. Now you're creating more vibration, more synergy around any idea that you're creating. Like they say, thoughts attract thoughts alike. So if you're thinking about something frequently and you continue thinking about it, other thoughts that are synonymous to that idea that you're thinking of will start attracting into that concept, and then you get more ideas and more ideas, the more you stay on that frequency. It's just like a radio station. When you tune into a certain frequency, you can hear the sound coming from that frequency, that sound vibration. And humans are also part of this 3, 6, 9, 12 system. We have vibration, words that we're speaking as a vibration. You can't see it, but you can hear the sound. We have energy. We don't have to explain that part. So when you put all of this together, you see that everything around us is based on this idea. And if we look closer into it, we can use that system, the natural system, to make our world much more in harmony with nature. Instead of creating devices and systems that are against our own best interests, perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, there are ways to actually compute systems in a way that it generates more energy instead of depleting itself. We also looked into creating cryptocurrency using base 12. Many of other things we're mentioning are going to happen eventually. So whether we start now or we start 10, 50 years from now, this is the blueprint for it. And we've started making plans towards it. We had the GPT create the cryptography for cryptocurrency using base 12, and it simulated that, and we're going to upload that into a system and see how far that goes using Python. But there are many ideas where we can introduce base 12 into. As you can see already, our calendar system is a 12 base system, our time is a 12 base system. It should be in harmony with the planet, and that way we're in tune to the way of nature. We said earlier on in the previous post about plasma systems, and what we understand is another way to simplify plasma is simply charged particles. So when you have, for instance, like we mentioned earlier in the previous post, water, and once it's frozen, it's the molecules are oscillating slowly. Once you increase the oscillation of the water, it starts boiling and creates vapor, and that vapor is gas. And if you electrocute the gas, you get plasma. Now, what we understand is using that system to create proportion systems. Using plasma, we wouldn't have to travel through space. Traveling in space is traveling in time. If we have to create perhaps a spaceship and we're moving through space, we're also moving through time. So if you create a spaceship or a star system and it moves from this star cluster to another, by the time it gets there, we would have exceeded perhaps like 30 years on this side from the place of departure. And we can't really make any feasible change that way because that's the way our science is currently thinking about space travel. We're thinking about creating some kind of propulsion system. We're using this rocket and we're going to send this rocket down to Mars. While you're moving through space, you're moving through time. And by the time you get to that star cluster, by the time you return, you would have passed about 100 generations. So there will be no way to kind of report back that message. That's why we have time capsule for the next generation to pick up on. But what they're not tapping into, because they're still using the base 10 system, is using base 12. That means you're tapping into plasma systems. And from our understanding, because plasma state is a human being activity also, many humans are not aware of it, but we actually have a light body. It's called the Merkaba, or the tetrahedron, whatever, anyhow you want to call it. But it's a light plasma body that comes out of our body, and you can see it is visible. You become golden. Now, a lot of humans who are not in this golden state don't really understand it, and it's very hard to explain it to them. And that's the difference between anyone who knows it and who doesn't. There's nothing, absolutely nothing on this universe or in this universe that is greater than being in your plasma body or in your Merkaba or in your light body. That's why I can relate to that to the Bible passage where they asked Yeshua if they should give him the whole world and he should do this, and he said no. I can totally understand it, and that's the difference between folks. That's some difference between us. There are people right now, if I tell you, would you take $1 billion, or would you like to get into your Merkaba or become enlightened to the point that your body starts to glow? I can guarantee you that 99.9% of people on the planet will take the $1 billion because they don't have any idea what the Merkaba is or what the light body is. And even if they do, they really wouldn't care about it because they don't understand it or have anything to relate it to it with. That is also, it comes back to this cognitive heuristics where people can only relate to something that someone else understands or something that is familiar. They can't relate to original ideas. So this is where we're having this barrier between communicating with other people about this kind of concept that it seems foreign to a lot of people. But this is fact, it's grounded in truth. Personally, there's absolutely nothing you can give to me on this planet that I'll take to forfeit my light body. Literally, because I know what it is. I have experienced it. I understand it. And now to pass that message to someone else who have no concept of it, it might seem fringe or foreign, but it is practical. There are certain sound vibrations that you can tap into and activate your light body or your Merkaba. And we will be sharing this. The reason why we haven't shared it earlier on is, like we said, it is a sacred information and we don't want it to be perverted, and it's likely that we're going to put it out in a song. Keep watching or keep paying attention. Eventually we will. And this is when you tap into that sound vibration. Once again, vibration, energy, frequency, vibration, rejuvenation. You activate your light body. And from our understanding is when you're in a plasma state, you are everywhere at once. It's being entangled with all things and all places. So you don't have to travel from one point to another, because it's only when you're still in a particle base, that means you're not a charged particle, that you have to travel through one point to another. Our entire universe is based on this system. Consciousness is also energy, and with this, from our personal experience in our light bodies, we're everything everywhere at once. Instantly, I could sense everything everywhere. I could feel everyone and everything everywhere, and with that understanding, it was beyond our planetary sphere. Instantly, just like that in a flash, you know everything, you're everything, you're one with all things, and your body is golden. And that's the connection with the plasma that we mentioned earlier on. But the only thing I didn't do was try to move around because it was benign to me and it was magnificent. I couldn't take a camera to camera myself because who does that? So in that state of ecstasy and knowingness in the Godhead, that magnificence, you're not thinking of doing anything low functional or low vibration. It is at the highest level of consciousness, and that is where everything on the planet is stationed in. The sun is made up of plasma, the moon is all our celestial body, even the planet has its own light. And naturally, each and every human being on the planet should be glowing in a golden plasma light body, each and every one. And the reason people are not in that state of frequency is because they have a belief system that tells them that they are not worthy. Should we repeat that? The reason a lot of humans are not in their light body is because they have a belief system that convinces them that they are not worthy. A lot of people right now don't believe they are gods. And you mentioned that, they'll say it's blasphemy. So naturally, they're already blocking themselves from connecting to the 24th pair of their chromosome because of their belief system. Because their belief system is an integral part of the process. It is the 3 and the 6, 9, 12, if you ask me. And once you reform your belief system, you can then give yourself the opportunity to tap into other states of awareness. There are people who believe that something that happened 4,000 years ago is the reason why they should do certain things right now, because once upon a time this person did that, this one ate this person's fish, and blah 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 blah. Generations later, they are still fighting right now about whose God is more true, or which God is more important, or which God is more powerful. Isn't that interesting that some people are fighting for the most powerful God and they are losing the battle, and instead of kind of passing the message of truth, of oneness, they are disintegrating the creation of what they call God. So you see how when you have a default faulty belief system or dysfunctional belief system, it kind of makes humans to act against their own best interest without even knowing it. And the sad part is that many don't want to even know it. Many of this information that we're sharing, it seems fringe, but to one who is enlightened, they are spot on. They understand what we're saying. It might be hard to communicate, but it is the only way. Like part of what your biblical context mentioned, it said, find first the kingdom of God and all will be added to you. It's as simple as that. And that kingdom of God is not what you think. It is a state of being where you are one with all things. In fact, a state of being where you are what you would call God. Because God is not, what you call God is not a selfish being. It's not something, it doesn't require worship. It doesn't require humans to serve. It's kind of like humans are not created to serve God. That concept is what is keeping humans away from God. You don't think you're worthy, so you remove yourself from any responsibility that will put you in a position where you are one with all things. And that's the basic idea behind all these religious systems that is kind of pushing people away from God. First, you believe that some believe they were born of sin and they have to act a certain way or otherwise they'll be punished and born in eternal hell and whatever. You see, these concepts are not in line with the truth. And once you tap into the truth, you get a profound realization that aha moment that we are designed to be omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. And this is a state of being one with all things. And using that to akin to science, this is from our personal experience and things that we have studied. Connecting that to science, being one with all things is plasma, it's light body, because that was our experience. And now using that to key into technology, if we can create a device using plasma, you would not have to travel through space to get from one location to another location. All you need to do is change the frequency of that position you are in to the position you want to be in, and you're already there, because in the state of plasma and that state of a charged particle, you're everything and everyone at once. Everything, everywhere, everyone at once. It's only a measure of what frequency you want to oscillate it or you want to tune it to. Say for instance, you're in New York, and the frequency for New York is 335, yeah, and you want to go to Paris, and the frequency for Paris is 337. All you need to do when you're in a plasma state is switch from 335 to 337. You are not traveling from one point to another, you are there. Now, this is the more advanced technology system, but this is the formula and this is the route to getting there. And there's a chance that we're already there, and a lot of people are not aware of it. And this is what you call your UAP or your UFO sighting. If you notice, they're always glowing because they're in a plasma state. And to create systems using plasma, we won't have to be burning petrol to travel from one point to another. You have teleportation device using that same system, that same model, and a lot of things change automatically. If there's any illness in the body, you just tune into that frequency and then you undo it, reverse it. That is, we have a Rife machine that does that, but it's not really known. But using that same energy, frequency, vibration, rejuvenation, you have the answer to everything. That's literally the key to the universe in your hand. But will you take it? Are you going to tune into it? That's the difference now. A lot of people are still tapped into the old world. This is why we made the album, to usher people into a whole new world, foreign, different from where they're coming from. And not to say that the old world is bad, it's kind of a step you have to take in order to evolve into a whole new world. A golden age. A golden age is one where you're not wasting energy. You don't have to go through all this whole toxic shenanigans for energy or for food, for sustenance. You have everything in your beck and call. And this is the new era. But everyone have free will, so it's left to you to choose if you want to tap into the new world and leave everything that you were told behind, unless you otherwise you want to hold on to the 4,000-year-old war and go around with that whole dysfunctional entropy shenanigans. It's all left to everyone. But if people don't have the opportunity to choose something better, then they will be stuck with what they know. So what we're doing is giving people the opportunity to tap into something different, something higher, perhaps, something much more ecstatic. Yes, yes. So that's why we made Base 12. There will be more albums and more information to follow suit. But first, you need to understand that you are worthy. There was a time in the world where laws were important because people were acting dysfunctional. You needed laws to tell them right from wrong. The era of the one you called Yeshua was the era where love was introduced to the population, where love is greater than laws. You can forgive. You can even go to the point of laying your life down for someone you love. That's the era of love. And now we're in the era of worthiness. It's time for people to realize that they are worthy of abundance. They are worthy of all the greatest things life can offer. And in that, they are worthy of the ecstatic enjoyment that comes with being connected to divine and being one with all things. You're worthy of that. And if your belief system tells you otherwise and you choose to stick to that belief system, then you're saying that you're not worthy of something higher than what your ancestors or your great grandfather told you, which they didn't know any better, so you cannot blame the past for the present. I could say it again or previously, the present is not a result of the past. You have the original opportunity right now to tap into all these higher frequencies. And there's a way to start, and it starts by reconciling your limiting belief. That's all. If there's anything that you believe in, you think about it, kind of introspect. We have a song called Introspection. Isn't that interesting? Introspect and then find the reason why you still tapped into that idea and ask yourself if it's beneficial to you. These are simple steps you can start taking before you start connecting into the 24th pair of your chromosome. You have it within you, but you have the opportunity to tap into it or not. And there's no one forcing you to do anything. We're not. That's why we don't do many of all this advertising, because we don't want to force people into taking a different step. It's just not some kind of religious shenanigans or courts. As many will say, this is free will. You have the choice to tap into it or do it or not. You have the opportunity, the freedom and the choice to listen to the album or not. And there are those who tell us that, Trish, you're not putting enough work into promoting your album. You're not doing this. Yes, you're right. Why? Because honestly, the only and the most important thing for Trace right now is connecting to the vibe. That's the only most important thing that if you ask Trace, what do you want? It's just to be in my Merkaba, to be in my divine light body and to remain there. So that's like my priority, top priority. However, I will make a certain adjustments, right? To just some certain things that are not really necessarily comfortable or convenient, or certain things like Kai said, things that you don't like to do. I'll try going into that direction, do a little bit of that, just so the message can come out to more people. Like I said earlier on, many years ago, the vibration, the sound vibration that we will share in order to tune into your 24th pair of chromosome, we're going to put it in a song eventually, and we're going to share it when we have a lot of people paying attention, so that way we don't have to do it twice. And some will say, why don't you just share it now? Because people are not ready for it, and we don't want to be responsible for the results of sharing it prematurely. Okay, because there are certain things that happens once you activate that 24th pair of chromosome. It's a commitment. It's not something you just say. It's not like Shazam. You have to really meditate into that sound vibration. It's that vibration that is going to awaken that energy centers in your body. And the only way we can get that to a point where everyone's doing it, and we at least imagine if we have 50% of people on the planet glowing in a golden bubble, moving around, while there's still other 50% who are not in their golden bubble. Imagine what kind of world you're believing in by then. It's kind of like there are many biblical terms. We don't read the Bible. We're not religious either, but there are many biblical terms that point into what we're sharing. It's kind of like one point where they said there's fire on their head. I don't know what Bible passage that was, but it spoke about some people that had fire on their head, and the spirit of one team was coming and looking for them, and those who had fire on their head, they were left, free or unscorched. So this is kind of what we're saying. When you activate that on the fourth pair of chromosome, you have the fire in your head. You activate your scorch. And that fire in the head, it's in the ancient time, they wouldn't call it plasma, but it's similar likeness. And I'm coming to believe that ancient time, many people actually had that light body active, because they don't have too many of all these distractions that we have right now. A lot of people are not even in tune to this. They rather just be on their phone and scrolling endlessly to an infinite wall of distraction, and wouldn't have the time to meditate into the sound vibration even if we share it. So this concept of things that we need to perhaps give a few moments of our time to devote into. I will be doing that like I have been, but I will pay more attention to it. Like we shared earlier on, what we want to do is, instead of just talking about it, we want to show you, or those who pay attention anyways, we don't owe anybody we don't owe anyone to show off. Perhaps we don't, it's not something that, it's not a mission for us to do for you. This is something that we're doing for ourselves, and in light of sharing more information, we'll try to do that. In light of promoting the album, we'll try to do that. In light of every other things that have been mentioned to us, we're going to try to do that. But my priority is connecting to our light body. And we're not doing that just to show off to other people, but to activate the planet. There are other things that come about when you do that. For instance, when you activate your light body, the planet is active as a result. When it happened to us, certain information, certain things, we receive some download, and certain things happen on a global scale afterwards. You can look it up or whatever if you don't want to. But being one with everything means, I don't want to use the word responsibility, but there are certain factors that come with that honoring, perhaps, or that title. And it's not something that we want to do alone. We would like to do that with other people. That's why we want to share it with everyone. But first things first, you need to reconcile your belief system, understand that you're worthy, and listen to more songs from Trey Scratch, because the frequency that we receive and we put it down on the song is coming from a place of love, and it's coming from a place that is connected to all things. And if you check our discography on all our songs, there's always something to pick up in there. And if there's something that Trey did that other people are not doing, that's why I was able to connect to the source. Perhaps listening to the albums is one of them. But most importantly, I believe the sound vibration will help. It's a word you have to chant, and upon doing that, the vibration will connect to all your energy centers and start activating your light body. This is practical, and we're going to be doing this together. But first things first, welcome to a new golden age. Welcome to base 12. We love you all. Happy holidays. Namaste.